Continuing on with our third award this evening. Bob and Michele Gay live in a suburb outside of Boston with their 2 daughters, and they moved to Massachusetts in early 2013, and this happened to be just weeks after an unthinkable tragedy changed their lives forever. On December 14th, 2012, just 3 days after her 7th birthday, Bob and Michele's daughter Josephine, or Joey to her friends, was a victim of a horrific act of violence at the Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut. Joey was a vibrant, outgoing little girl. She loved Barbies and the Baltimore Ravens. Her favorite color, you may remember from the stories, was purple. Now, Joey was autistic and she did not speak. She had apraxia, which is a central nervous system disorder that impaired her movement, and she sometimes struggled with balance and would often trip and fall. But she was affectionate, sweet, funny, and communicated in her own way. After Joey died, hundreds of people asked how they could help, and Bob and Michele thought of establishing a fund for children with autism. They felt lucky that they could afford the various therapies and special foods and camps to improve their daughter's life, and they wanted the same for other families. Jack McGuire, founder of McGuire Associates and Bob's new employer at the time, put Bob in touch with the Flutie Foundation. Jack was the director of admissions at Boston College for many years and even admitted Doug in the early 80s. He's saying thank you. Within days after Joey's passing, Bob and Michele contacted the Flutie Foundation and they asked if they would steward a fund in her name in order to help other children like Joey. And with that, Joey's Fund was born. And since its inception just 3 years ago, Joey's Fund has assisted more than 50 families in granting a total of $185,000. Through Joey's Fund, families all across New England can apply for up to $3,000 in financial assistance, and it's used for things like specialty camps and therapies and adaptive equipment and even medical co-pays. The goal is to simply take a little bit of that financial pressure off of these families and really help them get the support and services that they need for their children. Michele and Bob have played an active role each year in reviewing the grants, selecting the recipients, and even raising money to support the future of Joey's Fund. And today, the Gays are also tireless advocates for safer schools. Michele is the co-founder of Safe and Sound, a Sandy Hook initiative with a focus on protecting students and staff from future school violence. Let's take a look.
You have that anger, and that anger for me was I didn't want Sandy Hook School on the 14th to be the last thing in my daughter's life or define her life.
One of the lessons that we shared, that we learned from her, is that you really truly don't need words to say I love you. Actions speak louder.
Thank you all very much. We'd first like to acknowledge and thank God for His providence in crafting the journey we traveled since Joey left us. Laurie and Doug, thank you so much. You've created a wonderful organization, and it was an honor that you took a risk, created Joey's Fund, and gave us such an honorable way to remember Joey. You guys have built a great organization and put together a great team. Lisa, what can I say? You know, since we met with you 4 days after Sandy Hook, you're a wonderful person. You've been kind and gentle with us. You work hard, and we're grateful. You've built a great team, and we're proud to know you guys. We love you guys, and we're glad that you consider us as some part of your success. I'd also like to acknowledge my friends from McGuire Associates who are sitting at the table. I didn't realize this till recently, but the effects of Sandy Hook, we were so wrapped up in it, and Sandy Hook affected everyone so deeply. And we're a very small firm, and having one of their own affected firsthand really shook our small community. And I thank you guys for being here, and thank you for the support you've shown me over the last 2.5 years. So, the real shining star here tonight is named Josephine Grace Gay. And we thought we would spend this time telling you about her life and some of the things that we believe make her special. As a family, we get great joy from remembering things she did and the fun times that we had with her. Not too many of you in this room actually had the opportunity to meet Joey, but there are some here who love her and who knew her well, and we would like to acknowledge those people. Seated at our table is Michelle's mom, Kathy Hartman, and my parents, Bob and Louise Gay, all extremely proud grandparents to Joey and her sisters, Sophie and Marie. And my dad and Michelle's mom, Kathy, are also Joey's godparents. So Josephine Grace was born on Sunday, December 11th, 2005 in Baltimore, Maryland. She was the third of our 3 daughters, and as a dad, I kind of felt like I had the whole childbirthing thing down. Yeah.
It's a skill.
Right. The midwife came to our room, and I think she sensed a little swagger and called me on it. She said, "Do you want to deliver your daughter with some coaching?" I was scared silly, but said, "You know what?" A little voice said, "Don't let this one go by." So Josephine came to us without event at 9:01 in the morning on that sunny December day, and my hands were the first to hold her. Joey was a beautiful, healthy baby at 6 pounds 9 ounces. She had the heaviest birth weight of all 3 of our daughters, and as with our other daughters, we had prepared her room in advance. Green paint for the oldest, blue for the middle, and pink for Joey. We were yet unaware of the purple dynasty that she would create. We brought her home the next day to much celebration and excitement. Marie Claire, our middle daughter and second born with a very pronounced middle child personality, finally got to be a big sister. It shifted the axis of our family and changed our internal politics immensely. Joey was a bright and attentive little girl until about 12 months and developed much like our other 2 daughters. We gradually started to notice that she wasn't walking and talking at the same age as her sisters, and she preferred to play quietly by herself. But we just assumed that she was developing at her own pace, and we weren't too concerned. Somewhere between 18 and 24 months, we realized that something was not typical in our little girl's development, and we were told that she was on the spectrum. And I remember when Michele called me with that, how intimidating it was. I mean, what does that mean, right? And it was really scary. I didn't know what it meant. But the journey that began the day that we realized that Joey was a person living with autism changed our lives and ultimately made us better people, for real. And Joey's care gradually became, from the periphery, it became our family's mission, with her older sisters, Sophie and Marie, playing a very important role as their mom's helpers. My job at the time required me to be away from home a lot, and much of the daily routine of coordinating therapy visits, caring for Joey, and advocating for her fell to Michele, who's now going to share with you some of those special memories.
So hey, here I am. With Joey in our lives, we learned to be ever ready, ever vigilant, and always moving. Bob worked very long hours each day, commuting more than 2 hours to Manhattan each morning, and then back home to Newtown each weekday, while I kept all the plates spinning, mostly, at home, in school, and in family life. Like many families with autism, we were exhausted, but we felt really blessed to be able to provide for our daughter's needs. Although it took long hours, a faraway job, and my giving up work to focus on the needs of our family full-time, we knew that for most families with autism, providing for their child in this way was just not possible. Like other children and adults with autism, most of Joey's needs were not provided for by health insurance or the public school system. And those needs that were provided for required endless hours of advocacy, documentation, meetings, and phone calls to ensure. Our family life was markedly different from that of a typical family, with activities centered around hobbies and clubs and sports. But for us, the bulk of activity revolved around Joey's therapy, appointments, and social enrichment activities. Each day, the girls and I would pile into the car for something: speech therapy on Tuesdays and Thursdays, physical and occupational therapy on Mondays and Wednesdays, Girl Scouts on Fridays, and aquatic therapy on Saturdays. I can't even remember where we squeezed in ABA, but it happened somewhere in there. Without friends, neighbors, and carpools, the older girls would have never made it to their own activities. But somehow, we always made it work. And Joey loved her schedule. She measured time by it. So much so that when Bob would return from work and work at home on an occasional Friday, she'd wake up believing on Saturday that it was time for the pool. On Friday, as a matter of fact, that it was aquatic therapy day. Because of course, Daddy was home. Must be Saturday. All morning, she'd insist, pool, pool, pool. And when our explanations just weren't enough, she'd go pack the pool bag herself and bring it right to us. We're lucky, actually, that she never tried to drive off. She was very determined. And while friends and family might have thought us strange for choosing specialized summer programming over family vacations, technology and therapeutic equipment over toys, safety gadgets over shopping and dinners out, they couldn't argue with our daughter's growth. You see, all of these efforts and sacrifices were paying off. Though each accomplishment was very, very hard-earned, our daughter was continually growing, and so were we. She taught us to redefine success and enjoy even the smallest of victories. Her path in this life would be very different, certainly unexpected, and absolutely, positively, never dull. It would be exhausting, frustrating, and challenging, but as she taught us, we were lucky because we were invited. We were wanted and loved by this very brilliant, special girl. I'm not gonna lie. There were days, though, that we didn't actually get very far. Not even out the front door. We didn't always make it to the potty on time, and our toilets were often very slow to flush, with all sorts of little toys and household items that were subject to Joey's curiosity about the whole flushing thing. We often wore more of our dinner than we actually consumed. But the truth is that these are treasured memories of a life with a very special girl. A little girl that left us with enough memories and love to last a lifetime and still to share with you. So though our daughter no longer struggles with autism, many of her friends and peers across the country still do, and more are diagnosed every day. We are grateful, deeply grateful, that modern medicine continues to look for answers to help our children, and advocacy organizations fight for the rights of our families. But for our family, to work with the Doug Flutie Jr. Foundation for Autism is to serve these families most directly, and to honor our daughter absolutely. The programs and funding that are provided here are a lifeline for families like ours and for children who deserve to shine like the stars that they are. So it is truly our honor to have Joey's Fund here, a part of the Doug Flutie Jr. Foundation for Autism. We are humbled by this award and for the opportunity to serve families with autism in our Shining Stars name. So God bless you, and thank you all.